Hello guys, this is Brian Tubbs coming at you with another video. On the last video I was working on some racks, weed whacker racks for my brother's trailer, and I did a kind of a tutorial on how I made those. We have those installed on the trailer now. I have to take a picture of it. I wasn't able to film that because it just took forever. Because at first I thought we were just going to be installing those onto the trailer, but then I realized we had to run some wire or rerun some wire for his lights on the trailer. Because when I first started the project about a week ago, we were just going to straighten out the tongue on the trailer, and I told you about that in I think the last video, and kind of describe what I did, and in order to straighten the tongue out, because his buddy had an accident and with the trailer, or had to stop real fast, and the trailer tongue collapsed because he had his big 1,000-pound zero-turn lawnmowers on this utility trailer. And so I thought I was just going to be straightening out the tongue, but after I got the tongue somewhat straightened out, he remembered he had to have lights on it because his lights were no longer good, because the trailer had been sitting outside for 8 years, eight and a half, 9 years. And so I had to run new lights on the trailer. And then after that, it was some of the wood was rotting, starting to rot, so we had to take the boards and flip the boards over and do all this stuff. All that stuff before I could even put the weed holder racks on. And then after that, I knew that I was going to have to work on this trailer ramp. If you can see this thing on the table, this is the ramp that as you're driving down the road, it's in an upward position. But when you get to your location, you want to take your lawnmowers off, you lay it down and you ride your lawnmowers or whatever equipment you have, you'll be able to walk down the ramp or ride your lawnmower down the ramp. So I got to this point. I think it was the last time he was here was like on Saturday. So I was trying to figure out how to fix this thing, because like I said in the last video, his friend would use his zero turn to go up and down the ramp, and then my brother would use it. And one time my brother went up the ramp and one of his front tire went through this. There's a expanded metal on here, which most utility trailers have, expanded metal. The weld broke, or the welds broke, and his front tire went down into the metal portion of this ramp, and so he was stuck. So he had to find a piece of wood to put on the tire to try and get the tire, the thing to move and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm trying to figure out, why did the welds break? But after I started looking at this thing, I was going to work on this on the trailer, but I said, let's take the whole rear ramp off. So we took the ramp off. And as I look at this thing, this is a 6 feet 7 inches width, 4 feet in height. And across the entire front, there are like 8 welds going across that 6'7" span. There's 1, 2, I can see them from here, 3, 4, 5, like 8. And then down the side, there's like maybe 6. And then across here, there's 8 in different locations, and like 5 or 6 there. So the majority of this expansion iron is not welded, it's just sitting on here. And in this area here, this is an 18-inch opening. Here, all these openings are 18 inches, wide. So when you're running a 1,000-pound, and even his friend's was 1,300 pounds, a zero-turn mower up this ramp on this 18-inch opening, because their tires go from here to here, because they're 60, 61, 62, 63 width. So the tires are riding in this outside opening here. And so you have all that weight fighting against 6 welds here. And then that's the portion that you would ride up onto the ramp, the trailer's deck off of that. And that has eight welds. So you're putting all that stress across there and here. So all these welds broke. And so the only place that's still okay is across this, the bottom. And this whole thing will be flipped over because this is the bottom side of it. So the expanded metal is on top and it just lays across these braces. So I was really quite upset that the manufacturers would design something like this knowing what the guys are going to be using it for mostly. You know, mostly lawn care or, you know, riding something else up these things. You know, it's going to be, you know, heavy. So they should have put more welds around here. And they should have even put some welds on these center bars to keep that metal, you know, taut and not, you know, not allowing it to weaken in these areas. Because right now I have this metal on the table and I have it clamped down because I'm trying to flatten the expansion metal out because it was, you know, rolling in the center. It was high in this spot. It was all over the place. It had, some of it had came through this bar, had pushed through for when he rode the lawnmower up. So we had to get a demolition bar and try and force it back through this area here on both sides. And then the bottom was just rolled up. So we had to get to the expansion bar and try and unroll the bottom. So just a mess. I'm just not happy with that, with those manufacturers because they did an absolute terrible job designing this thing. So after all that, what I'm going to be doing is putting another brace through here and through the outside here. This is 46 inches from the bottom to the top. And the other thing I cannot grasp is that they use 16 gauge square tube. This is a 1.5 inch square tube, but the wall thickness is only like 16 gauge. They could have used 14, but like they used 16. So you have all the stress of the lawnmowers, the equipment on a 16 gauge tube. So what I'm going to do, since the majority of his stress is out here, I'm using, this is maybe 3/16 wall on these guys. So I know that this is not going to bend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in these areas, weld them up top and bottom, and then I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it on video. I'm going to run another brace across here and across here, just to have an area to tack weld this expansion metal to that brace. And that brace will also help keep this thing from expanding when he goes up, you know, up the deck. So I'm just kind of overdoing it. But in here, I'll probably use just 1/8 wall, just going up here, just to hold this thing together. Because I'm not concerned about, you know, the moors, wheels and whatnot, stressing that out. I just need a place in here just to kind of weld that metal to. But like I said, I'm not sure if I'll get to that in the video, if it'll be part 2 or whatever I need to do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move you guys in so you can see this a little bit better of what I'm having to do. Because as you can see from, I have a clamp here, holding these braces down. just to try and flatten this expansion metal out. And this, I had to put a lot of force on these braces or these clamps to get that expansion metal to flatten out, because this thing was way up here. That's how bad the expansion metal had, you know, rolled and twisted and everything. So I've gotten into a decent spot right now, but like the edges are still rolled this way, away from the, you know, the bars. The bottom is still good. That's the best part on here. And then at the top, where it goes up onto the trailer, a lot of that was bent, you know, and curled up. So we had to get I had my brother get a demolition bar and try and unroll some of that. And what I'm going to do, I'm not sure if it'll be in this video or the next, I'm going to put probably about 6 to 7 inches of flat stock, probably 3/16, a quarter inch, all the way across the front on the opposite side. So this expanded metal will lay on top of that, the flat plate, and I'll weld it to the flat plate. So when he goes up on the ramp, he won't be putting stress on just that, you know, the expanded metal. I was going to put some of these going this way, like 2, but I said it'd probably be better just get like a solid piece of metal and just run it across there on top. So I'm trying to get you guys to see what I'm doing, and I'm kind of thinking my way through it still as I go, but you get the idea. So let me move you guys in so you can just kind of see what this mess looks like. All right, guys, I hope you can see this. So what I had to do also, if you can see this nut right here in this washer, this is going through the table, and I had to screw this to the table in order to get this mesh, you know, more flat on the table, because when I run this bar here, I don't want this bar to be raised up. So I'm gonna have to put the bar there in this position, and then I have to clamp the bar down to get the rest of that metal at the front edge up there to sit down, because it's kind of raising up. So, and then I'm gonna have to go ahead and just tack these in, you know, top up there and down here to get everything held up. And then I'm going to tack some of the metal to it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet. I might just put both bars in and then put the bars going across, and then work my way from the center and come out this way. So I think I will probably do that, but the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead, clamp this down with this, and just get it, you know, fairly even with the lines here, and then just kind of tack it in. But this is I'm just kind of doing it as I go. I'm learning as I go, because the manufacturer should be ashamed of doing something like this. So you have all these people out here, men and women out here. They paid all the money for these trailers, and they're junk, basically. So let me get this down, and I'm just tightening it down to get it lined up here. And I might need to even put a clamp up there. And the thing that's keeping this up is this mesh. That's how strong this stuff is. And my clamp is all the way down, but it's still a little gap, so I'll probably get my clamp and clamp this down. So, not bad. I'm gonna get my put a clamp here and just kind of get this a little bit better than what it is, because it's still sitting a little bit high in this spot right here. This is something. Let me turn my water on here. I'm gonna have to clear a spot on here. Maybe I'll clamp it to that, because I have this what's left of the powder coat on here still. So I'm just clamped in this, I think. So what I want to do is just get a couple tacks in here and over here. And then I'll go up there and get that lined up and tack that in. All right, let me try this. Well, you know, I better move it over. I'm outside of my line just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's better. Put this tack here. All right, that's one. I'll go ahead and put a tack here, a couple tacks. What I'm gonna do is I still have a little gap here. I'm gonna take and bring this up to that gap. Fill that in. Not too bad. Running some stitch welds across it. I don't want to run a full bead across here because I'll probably burn through this cheap metal. I'll run across here. My water is set for 1/4 inch. All right, got that. And I'll keep this here for now. And what I think I'll do is put a screw here. Well, maybe I'll go ahead and put this one on first. And then before I weld this expansion iron to these bars, I'll smash them out in the middle to try and get all the excess out of the center going out that way. I don't want to weld it out there first and everything be in here, and you still have it, you know, kind of wavy in here. So I want to get this down as flat as I can, try and push it out that way as much as I can, and then just tack it up to this bar and this bar. I might be able to get some tacks on here, but you still have some of that powder coat on here, so I'm not sure if it's going to weld up or not. But I'll give it a shot. So what I'll do now is just, like I said, just line this one up over here. I'm gonna have to get my clamps over here and clamp this one down. I might have to use one of my bolts to bolt through the table. I'll see in just a second. This expansion iron is pretty strong. I might need to run a screw or bolt through here to get this metal down, so I can get these lined up. I might have to. I'm not exactly sure yet. The front is lining up pretty good. So I might be able to get away with it by clamping this down with the clamp. Let me see what I can do here. I think I'm going to grab a pipe wrench and see if I can get some leverage on here and bend this to make that line up better than with these clamps. Because there's so much force being put on, those clamps are not really doing the job yet. Let's see what I can do here. This might work and it might not. What I'm gonna try and do is get it on here and try and rotate it forward and see if I can get this thing to move or line up with this. Not too bad. Grab my welder and my hammer. I might be able to do this. And I'm just trying to get to the top of this pipe, line up with the top of this one. Not too bad. I'm gonna take it and kind of twist it this way a little bit with this pipe wrench. Just a little bit off. To flex just a little bit. All right. Now I need to do the same thing up here. Just getting this on here. If you can see how high this bar is off the other bar, now that I took this clamp off, that's how far the expansion metal has thrown everything off. Now, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just put a bolt through here, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about, and also to get this thing to lay down more, so I'm not having to put too much force on this, which could tweak everything else. And I do not want anything tweaked. I'm just using stuff like this, anything that will allow me to put this up here and not go through these holes on this expansion metal. All right, so now I have to go underneath here. Get it from the side. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'm just going right underneath the table, putting the nut, washer and nut on the bottom. Then I'll just take my ratchet, 9/16 ratchet and 9/16 open end wrench, and just start cranking this thing until it comes down. So if you guys ever need to do a project like this, you have your own trailer, someone comes to you needing something like this done, this is how I do it anyway. And if you don't have a fixture table, just figure something out. You'll get it. I just never knew there were this many uses for a fixture table. Well, I knew, but I didn't know all the stuff that I would be doing with the fixture table. Never thought I'd be doing stuff like this. I thought it would be all art, but that is not the case. Okay, got that. I'm gonna have to do one more. Now I just gotta find the bolt. I think after I'm done with this trailer, it's gonna be just like brand new. We've done just about everything to it. Not a matter of tightening this down. I think that'll do it. There. I've not done a door like this before, a ramp, but there's the first time for everything. And you know, and since we do the art, sculptures and whatnot, just about anything metal we can do. So we're not limited to just art. So if someone comes with you with something like this, you have the skill to do this too. I was going to just put these two brackets in and then weld all the expanded metal to that, but I think I'm gonna just run a piece across just to give it some more strength in the center. Not really necessary, but I'm gonna just do it anyway. Now the guy that promised my brother the trailer for free that now wants to charge him was asking my brother if I could do some welding on his trailer. I told my brother to tell him no, I will not do anything for him. Regardless of the price, don't care. I won't do it. His ramp on his trailer is broken. The uprights, this portion in here on his is split right in half. It wouldn't take much to fix it, but I'm not gonna fix it for him. You cheat people, but then you want people to help you. So no, I won't do it. So I'm just going through here and just hitting the seam, right in the seam. Pretty easy stuff, guys. I'm going right in this little corner. I'll do the same thing down here. Let me turn this welder, get some more slack. If you notice, my welder is down here with me. It's normally up on the platform, but when we had the trailer in here, the trailer was right in here, so I had to roll the welder over there to do all the welding. So that's why it's not in its usual position. All right, just one more side right here. All right, got that. Trying to find an opening to put this clamp in. Really don't need to, and I could start welding this up to that, but I want to be sure I have all the slack out of the center because it's still slightly raised up here in center. So I want to try and get it down to the table in these spots after I tack these on or weld them on, and then I'll start working my way out that way. That's the idea anyway. All right, I'm going to just go ahead and weld in these seams now on the sides. All right, almost there now. Nice and solid. So I'll go from here. And the last spot is here, right through here. All right, got that. All right, so I think the next thing I'm going to do is run those two pieces across here just to give it some strength in the center. Then I can flatten these down, weld this expanded metal to those crossing bars or beams if you want, just so it'll stay, you know, tight in here and it won't give through. And then I'll be having to get my measurement and get a cap piece to go across there. I was going to have a piece in between each, but I think I'm on the other side, on the top side, so I'm running the bar all the way across to give it strength. All right, let me get a measurement here. I think I'll go right in center. So 6. So that'd be, this is 46. So I think that'll be about 23. Get a measurement at 23. Right at 23 is where I want to be. If I can get my tape lined up. So I'm at 23. So now I'm gonna get my marker. And so I need an inch. What is that? Well, that piece I think is 1.25 inches. So 23 inch. So 1 and get the 1/8 here, there. So So that piece is 1 1/4, so I'm just splitting the difference. I just have to remember that that piece is not 1 1/2. These tubes are 1 1/2. The tube that's going to span here is going to be 1 1/4. There. Now let me get this one. Okay, 23 is there. All right, now I have to get an inside measurement. So it's going to be 17 3/4. $17 5/8. 17 5/8 here. $17 3/4 here. They can't even get that right. Jeez, oh Pete. $17 3/4, 17 5/8. All right, guys, I'm cut a piece at 17 3/4 and 17 5/8. And again, this piece is just giving strength to this expanded iron, so it won't be trying to dip in the center. Just trying to give it as much support as I can. All right. So 17 5/8 here. $17 5/8. And the other one will be 17 3/4. Let me get my face shield on. All right, it's gonna be a little noisy, but you guys are used to it by now, I'm sure, watching my stuff. So I'm gonna put it right on this line here. Let's check it on the outside and the inside. All right, here we go. All right. 17 5/8. Good fit. Now this will be 17 3/4. Make sure I keep my numbers straight. All right, and here we go. lock it in. All right, let me grab my grinder and just smooth this out a little bit. All right, now I just have to get this stuff locked down. Because I see this one clamp is in my way. Well, maybe I can just take this clamp, turn it, pivot it this way, and lock this down. Yeah. Well, that's tight. This expansion iron is something else. It's tough. So I want to get this all the way down. I just want to make sure it lines up with the top of, make sure this lines up with the top of this one underneath here. Let me see here. Not too bad, so I'll go ahead and put a couple tacks here. Slide this down a little bit. Because when I line these two bars up going across this way, I want them to be even. I don't want one to be down and one up. I want them to be, as even as I can get them. So let me grab this guy, my roofer square. Lay it in here and see if it's pretty square. Looks pretty good, pretty good. Yep, really good actually. All right, so what I'll do now is just put a few tacks on here. Looks okay. As you can see, guys, I'm not doing a whole lot of talking because I'm just kind of thinking as I go. So you guys are just kind of hanging out with me, and I appreciate it. let off now. Just weld it up. All right, getting there now. I've been working on this trailer for, oh man, it's about almost 2 weeks now. But we're getting there. Now it's just a matter of getting it in here. I might have to, that's okay. I think I'll take this clamp and clamp this one down, I think. That's what I have to do. This doesn't want to stay on its own. It's pretty good. I just want to get them lined up. So when you look at them this way, they'll be close to the same anyway. Take my roofer square, put it on here. And this one needs to go that way some. So I just need to knock it that way. And the most important part really to me, other than being straight, is that the top of this one lines up with the top of this one. So when I have this expanded metal on here, I can weld it and it won't be high spot, low spot. All right, I'm gonna put a couple tacks on here. All right. I can take these clamps off. Go ahead and weld it up. Just run a bead across the top. Staying right in the seam, guys. That's that powder coat. All right, now let's come around and do the front side. I'm just pointing my welder right into the corner, just pulling the trigger. grind that out. Got some porosity in it. If you get little holes in your weld porosity, take your grinder and grind that out. Don't just weld over it. It'll be a weak spot. All right, I think that's it. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for this first portion, part 1. And I think I'll do a part 2, and I think I'll be welding on that front plate. I think that's what I'm going to be using, just a either a 3/16 or 1/4 inch. I guess they consider that still sheet metal. I think once you get to 3/8 it becomes plate, I believe. Different so-called experts say different things. So, but I'll probably be welding something all the way across there so I can tie this this mesh, you know, to that. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for this one, and I hope to see you on the next one. Well, hopefully I'll be continuing this project. But this video's goal was to show you guys how to put these braces in, just to get more strength out here, and just some support braces in here, you know, just to help tie this expanded iron down. Why the manufacturer didn't do that, I have no clue. Why they welded this thing up like they did, or lack thereof of welds, I don't know. But that's going to do it, guys, for this one, and I hope to see you on the next one. And as usual, peace out.